Hello, this is OverlordBou, and today we'll be covering the newest premium US battleship, the Tier 7 West Virginia 44. Now, the West Virginia 44, along with the Tier 9 Halford, which we're not so excited about, will be available as part of an event to celebrate the US Independence Day. Now, both ships are available for direct purchase through doubloons, event tokens, and through special containers. Now, the West Virginia 44/48 was the third and last Colorado-class battleship built for the U.S. Navy. Commissioned in 1923, she and her sister ships represent the pinnacle of the standard-type battleship, slow but heavily armored and maneuverable thick boy battleships. The West Virginia would span the interwar years, participating in fleet exercises, and helped the U.S. Navy develop their battle doctrine. She was sunk during the attack on Pearl Harbor after sustaining 2 bombs and 7 torpedo hits. Though she was refloated, the extensive damage meant she could not return to active service anytime soon. Instead, she was given a major refit, which included the addition of 8 twin 5/38 guns, a dummy thick torpedo bulges, and of course a lot of AA DACA. It is in this configuration the in-game West Virginia 44 represents. After the refit was completed, she was developed to the Pacific Theater in time to participate in the Battle of Leyte Gulf. I do apologize if I said that name wrong. In the last battleship versus battleship action in history, West Virginia helped to sink the Yamashiro and turn back the rest of the Japanese attack force. After the end of the war, the West Virginia was quickly decommissioned in 1946 and ultimately broken up in 1961. As always, I'll show the recommended captain build, followed by the ship stats, and then talk about her gameplay. Important note to make here though, I'll only be talking about the Tier 7 West Virginia 44 version and not the older Tier 6 West Virginia 41. They play very differently, so be very careful when purchasing the version that you want. Now, the captain build will be shown on the top right, so you guys can take a look at that as I talk about the build. Now, this is the same build I recommend for other US battleships, the Massachusetts and Ohio, though I don't recommend taking the accuracy skill, the 4.1, which makes it where if you lock into a target, the accuracy goes over time. Normally, I would recommend for the Massachusetts and Ohio since they have longer range secondaries, which go to 11.3 range. But on the West Virginia, it only goes to 9.5, so I don't really recommend that skill for this particular ship. Now, you can take risk instead of grease the gears if you'd like, since this ship is incredibly slow, only going about 22 knots. So if you want to go a little bit quicker when you're not spotting, you can do that for sure. But otherwise, the builds are pretty much the same. You want to think of the West Virginia 44 as a Tier 7 Massachusetts or Ohio, or even a Tier 7 Colorado. She was if she was part of the Vermont line. She is intended to get close to Brawl, while her first fast reloading heals keep her alive. To do this, her secondaries have improved rate of fire and accuracy like the Massachusetts or the Ohio. Their range is notably shorter though, but this is fine for a Tier 7 BB. Now, the gun dispersion will be shown on the top right. Now, while she uses the same shells as Colorado, the West Virginia shells have a hidden drag modifier that slows down her shells and reduces penetration, as you'll be seeing throughout this match. The armor is very similar to Colorado, which isn't good as Colorado tends to eat a lot of pen damage. The armor scheme will be shown on the top right. It has a 26mm armor, which means any Tier 7 or higher BB will overmatch your bow, stern, or deck armor, which is incredibly painful. Her speed doesn't help either. The West Virginia goes at the same snail speed of 21 to 22 knots, but at least it has the improved acceleration, which is really nice for dodging. She can better dodge torpedoes with her great maneuverability, but getting across the battlefield takes somewhat longer. I hate spotting in the middle of the map on this thing, because whenever I do, it takes about 5 minutes to get to one corner of the map. It's like a Tier 8 map, so it's pretty much a Tier 7 Vermont with secondaries when I think about it that way. It's really slow. On the bright side, though, having great base anti-air combined with the DFAA means the CVs generally don't like to attack you, even though they'll try. Her flak will paint the sky dark and dusty with the DFAA active, but at least you can make the enemy CV pay for it in losses. Tier 6 CVs will avoid you, but smart Tier 8 CVs can work around your anti-air, so don't think your anti-air makes you invincible from planes. Overall, I'd say that I think the West Virginia 44 is a decent to solid ship. Definitely fun to play. Down tiers is almost heaven, as you see in this match, as West Virginia excels at close range combat. She will feel like a mountain mama with her fast reloading heals, but don't overextend or you will feel like you should have been home yesterday. Otherwise, she essentially plays as a Tier 7 Ohio. West Virginia is pretty slow, so while she will take you home, it will definitely feel like you're going down the country roads. But once you get to the place you belong, West Virginia will wreck anything that fights her and her secondaries. Again, like I was saying earlier, the ship will be being released for the US Independence Day celebration, so around in July, so around July 4th, around there. So you can get this ship and the Halford around that same time for you can either purchase it directly for doubloons or with the event tokens that are going on or through special containers. But whenever I was playing this ship, whenever I was playing it in Tier 7 tiers and below, the ship did a really good job. It pretty much acted like I said earlier, like a mini Ohio, like a mini Vermont. It has a very tight turning radius for how slow it goes, and it has the same acceleration as a Vermont, so it feels really similar to a Vermont with a quicker reload, but it has secondaries, which are a lot of fun to do for sure. Unfortunately, the slow speed, though, makes it really suffering. You are definitely going to have a lot of pain with just how slow it is. Especially if you're on a Tier 8 or Tier 9 map in this thing. Oh, Lord. Ugh. I had a lot of matches in this thing where I was on a Tier 8 or Tier 9 map, and good golly, man, not even joking, it was one of the most painful, super painful things ever. It was just it took 5 minutes to go from middle spawn to one of the side flanks. It just took millions of years. And by the time I got there, the game was pretty much done. So it was just GG at that point. It was a disaster. Biggest disaster ever. One thing to note, though, with this West Virginia 44 version, you do get this really cool camo, and the Halford has a cool camo too. I wish that the camo came with a cool horn, but unfortunately it does not. I feel like it's kind of missing out, because if you guys remember from the King Kong and Godzilla camos for the North Cal and the Amagi, they kind of have flames going out of the exhaust. I feel like the art department could have made that possible with this, with how the Phoenix is kind of on there. Could have done like a fire one for a fire exhaust for the horns for West Virginia, and more of like an ice one for the Halford, because I believe the Halford has like a bluish flame, so maybe like a bluish one for that one. That would be really cool if they did that, but you know, we can't, you know, it's not, everything's gonna be perfect. But yeah, let me know in the comments down below what you guys think of the camo. If you guys like the West Virginias more or the Halford. I personally like the West Virginias more, but it could just be I'm more of a fan of, you know, West Virginia. As you guys saw in my title, I'm a pretty big West Virginia country road take me home, you know, kind of feel there. Pretty big one for sure. I love the song. It's awesome. I don't want to sing it because I don't want to get copyrighted on YouTube, so I apologize. I can't really sing it. One thing the ship does suffer at, though, is long-range shooting. As I was saying earlier, its shells are incredibly slow. It does have a slowdown modifier on it, which makes the shells even slower than the Tier 6 West Virginia 41. Oh, man, it is so painful. Like 10-second airtime for a 16-kilometer shot is incredibly painful. It makes it very difficult to be able to like do accurate shots. But if you're in if you're in a tier 7 below match, that's fine. But when you're at tier 8 or 9 and a lot of your engagements are normally at 14, 13, 15 kilometers, the West Virginia is definitely going to have a hard time. But in tier 7 or below matches, you're going to be in heaven like this match. It's going to be so much fun to play. Now, as you remember on the build earlier, as you saw, I did rudder shift. The rudder shift is really useful to be able to just constantly just turn or wiggle or dodge your shots. Since you're not the quickest, you can use the acceleration, that improved acceleration on this to kind of do like slight draw jukes. Go about at like about half speed and then switch it to full, do like a slight dodge with the turn. It'll help you be able to do a lot more maneuverability and dodges with this ship. Whenever I was playing the West Virginia, I did really enjoy it. It was a lot of fun to play. I enjoyed it. It's just the longer engagements just made it really difficult though to be able to do a lot of damage. But once I got into tier 7 or below, or matchmaking where it's a little bit more brawly, it was definitely a lot more fun to play. Oh, also another bonus that I didn't really mention before was that since the ship has such a tight turning radius, it makes it a lot easier for it to dodge torpedoes and submarine torpedoes. So for instance, if a submarine's pinging you, you're able to dodge the torpedoes a lot easier with how maneuverable this ship is. Just a slight benefit for it being like how tight the turning circle is. It's a slight benefit, which is really nice. But yeah, I'm not sure though on the price of the West Virginia. They haven't disclosed how much that's going to be. But whenever they do let us know, I'll definitely cover that on Twitch or somewhere else. I'm not really sure. Not really sure yet, but whenever I find out, I'll let you all know. Normally, I'd say probably for something like this, the West is probably going to be maybe 40 bucks. Maybe 40 bucks. Maybe if you just want to directly buy it, it's probably be around $40, 35, maybe 30, right around there, I think. I know that tier rates are normally 50, so let's just a guess on how much I think the West Virginia is going to be. I think for like maybe $30, $35 if it comes with the Phoenix, maybe a bundle or something, I think that'd be worth it. But $40, $50, because that just comes down to if you guys like the ship that much. Because I think that most of the tier rates are around $50 nowadays to get in the game. And the tier 9s are like 100 and like 120-ish is like normally how they go for. Whenever I was chasing this kamikaze, I also made a huge error. Instead of just going the other way like a smart individual, I wasn't exactly sure where he was gonna go, so I kind of just kept chasing him like a buffoon. You know, it's just ring around the rosy, but you guys will see how it goes to the end. It's just, you know, I'm pretty much a tortoise at this point. Like, right now, I'm just going like almost 20 knots. This thing is just not very quick at all. And any slight turn just slows you down so much. Oh boy. Oh boy, indeed. Biggest disaster ever. Blah. But I know that this version of the West Virginia, the Virginia 44, was the version of the West Virginia that a lot of people were originally wanting, and not the 41 version. So I'm hoping that people that were wanting the West Virginia 44 version, that they're happy with this version. And for the people that were interested in the 44, but weren't able to get until now and been dealing with the 41, Let me know in the comments, like, why originally you wanted the 44, not the 41. I'm actually curious on that. I don't really know a lot of information on. I don't think I was around back then during that, whenever the 41 was put into the game. I'm not sure if I was in the game during that or I did reviews during that time. So if somebody that has knowledge on that could write that in the comments, I'd greatly appreciate it, because I don't think I was playing the game around whenever the 41 version was put in the game, but not the 44. One thing that I've been very much questioning on is if I wanted to take the accuracy skill for the secondaries, like the 4.1. If you want to take that, you can, but overall, I feel like if you're close enough to have them, that over time, like, the secondaries will kill whatever is that close. And it's kind of better for the secondaries to be kind of all over the place on battleships, so you're more likely to get fires, because the pins on them are only 21 millimeter. They're not going to be doing a lot of damage to battleships. They're just more of a starting fire, and yeah, the DD died there, so rip him. We also get an F in the comments for the poor DD. Kind of disaster for that guy. The biggest disaster ever. Of all time. Oh, and this is the final one here. Bye-bye, little fella. And victory. Yeah. All right, with that match out of the way, let's see how we did. 571,000 credits, 131,000 damage, 6 kills, 100 secondaries, Kraken, 3 secondaries, Confederate. Ooh, 2,400 base XP. Nice. All right, well, that is going to be it. If you guys have any questions or concerns, definitely in the comments down below. But this is OverlordBou. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for being here. And I will talk to y'all later. Blah!